What is up with the big victory? We got to start the show off with the video, with the countdown, get everybody pumped up. Victory Sunday night. I'm Mike Thornton. This is Jake Podger. Welcome to the Nickel City Mafia channel. Man, it's great to get back in the win column, Jake. How you feeling? First of all, I see you got some hot chocolate over there.
I do.
Give us a quick update on the weather out there and what it looks like in the next couple of days, and then we'll dig into this victory that we had tonight.
Great update. My driveway is officially clear. I got my wife's car out finally. It took a long time, Mike. I had to do a little bit of shoveling, and lucky enough, yesterday my brother-in-law sort of came and him and his buddy, they came and plowed the end of my driveway. So they got the end part taken care of. They got the middle part a little bit too. So they really helped me out quite a bit. But had to just unbury my wife's car. So we got that out. But I had to do some hot chocolate. No, it is not spiked with Bailey's. I'm just taking it easy tonight. We're going to enjoy this W, and cheers to that.
So we give a little more. I want to give a little more time for people to come into the channel. I forgot to ask you on the pregame show. You mentioned this Thanksgiving Eve ritual that you and your friends do. What's that all about? Tell us.
Yeah. Well, Buffalo, I don't know how it is elsewhere, but I'm pretty sure, this is kind of like a nationwide thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just naive. But typically the night before Thanksgiving is one of the biggest drinking holidays in America. That's how I've grown up. I don't know if you do it differently out there in California, Mike, but typically night before Thanksgiving, we do a little bit of bar hopping. Starts during the day with my work. We take like a half day. We go to Bar Bill, which is great. Shout out to Sam. He treats us to a great Bar Bill meal. And then we go next door to 189. We'll maybe hit, 42 North. Just do a couple of bars in the East Aurora area. And then usually we're feeling pretty good after that. So then it's like the round two comes later on. So you got to go back home, sober up a little bit, get yourself ready to go, get back out there, 8 or 9 o'clock, Mike. And then you hit the bars in your local watering holes. So we'll see if that changes a little bit this year. It did a little bit last year. We actually took the baby out with us. We saw a live band play at this brewery. She was out there. She was really little and much more portable. This year, not so much. So it's a little bit more difficult. But we'll see how that goes. I think we might be going to my brother's house on Thanksgiving Eve. I don't even know if he's aware of this or not, but me and a couple of my buddies are planning on going over there. So I hope he's ready for us.
Jake, I got to say, I grew up in Buffalo, and I've never heard of such a thing, nor have I heard of such a thing out here on the West Coast. Now, maybe it's me, because I don't drink. Maybe it's me who doesn't know about this. So I'm going to ask my wife after the show and some other friends around here, but never heard of such a thing. Usually the eve of Thanksgiving, you're helping the family get ready, get the food all set to go. I mean, not everything cooked, but you got to make sure you got all the food in the house. And then with the winter, with the snow, I'm still surprised you're going to.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I think people will even go harder with the snow, Mike, because the best part about the snow, you can go outside on the patio of these bars and use the snow as your cooler, basically. So you put a beer down in the snow, you're good to go. It's a great thing in Buffalo.
I love it. That's so cool. All right, we got Big Al out there. I want to say welcome, Big Al. He says Josh is back. And he says Bass and Milano game balls. We're going to do something a little different as far as game balls. We're going to have, when we get the offense and the defense, we're going to give our game MVP candidates, right? You give us your candidates. Could be a group, could be an individual. And then at the very end, we're going to give out that one MVP, one game MVP. So we got candidates. And then we'll also talk about some folks that we want to see a little bit more out of. But we got Sean from Red, White, and Bills. Good to see you out there, Sean. I saw your show. It was fantastic. You and Brett did a great job. And looking forward to do our special Thursday, actually Tuesday night. We're going to do our Thanksgiving pregame special with all three of us. That's going to be
all in the family, baby.
Yeah, all in the family. Tom out there, that was the nicest shave. So Tom had said pregame he wasn't shaving until the Bills or the Sabres won. He says that was the nicest shave I've had in a long time. Glad you got that shave.
That's right, Tom. I bet it feels real good, man. It might not feel so good with the cold weather out there, but glad you got that shave in.
Yeah, I'm so jealous that you got that hot chocolate because I'm a hot chocolate fan. That's one of my
it's so
dreams.
Damn good. Now, do you use milk or water?
Milk, man.
Okay, yep. I'm with you
there.
It's
got to be milk. It's got to be milk.
Yep. I usually put marshmallows in it too, but we're out of marshmallows, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, my wife usually piles in the marshmallows. So good.
Oh man,
I had some last night, and I was gonna have some this morning, but like I told you guys, we had a little bit of fiasco last night. Got a little sick boy in our hands, but all good. I'll probably have some hot chocolate afterwards. Still early here. After the show, I'll have some. We got Red, White, and Bills. Let's go 7-3. Rather win ugly than lose pretty. I love that line. Absolutely. A win is a win. Down the road, we'll look back and nobody will be like, hey, that was an ugly game we won. No, they'll just look at the wins and the losses, and this is a win. So
that's what I think. It's like you can be nitpicky because you're a Bills fan, but outside
yeah,
the league, people are looking. I mean, even on like NBC, they brush right over this on Football Night in America. They're not
exactly.
thinking, oh, it's only a 1-score win. Everyone's like, the Bills won this game handily, which I don't know if that necessarily tells the story, but from the outside looking in, you're not as in depth as we are. We're going to nitpick every single little thing, So I think it's natural as like a fan base of that specific team that you're going to be a little bit more critical of them. But hey, as the great Bill Cowher said, so what if we win ugly? It's a great quote.
So like we started this last week. We're going to continue to do this. I've taken some notes during the game. Like, I don't know if they're in particular order. I know Jake takes some notes, but this is some talking points. And then we'll get into those MVP candidates and all that good stuff. And we'll talk about get updates on the game. It's a good game going on right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to take away some of our views. But what's the score right now? Give us an update.
Let's take a look. We got almost halftime, 17-13. So the Chargers did score. I didn't see who scored for them, but they are up. There's about 2 minutes and 41 seconds left in the half. So looking good, Mike. Looking good.
Yeah, nice. We definitely want the Chargers in that one. I always feel bad. I'm watching that game, and I think back to when I went to the Rams at SoFi. They're never the home team.
Never.
Right? And no matter who they play, there's a lot of Chiefs fans out there. There's Bills fans. It's kind of sad to be a team that just doesn't have that support like we do.
Yeah, and I wonder if it was Rams versus Chargers, which I believe happened this year or last year, what fan base would have more people show up? I'm guessing it'd probably be the Rams. I think a lot of people are very salty with the whole, Dean Blandino, or not Dean Blandino, the owner for Dean Spanos for the
Dean
Chargers.
Spanos.
He moved him out of San Diego. People are still very salty about that, and I think there's a lot of hate. So I think those people kind of refuse to support the LA Chargers, which they were playing their first games in that small soccer stadium where the the LA Galaxy played, and they didn't even sell out those games, which is sad. I do feel bad for those.
I went to see the Bills play the Chargers in that game. That was
was the Nate Peterman game.
I saw Nate.
No.
By the time I sat down, he had already thrown 2 picks. The game was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Because we got there a little late. But
that was, I think, yesterday, it was like 7 years to the day, I want to say, which is pretty crazy now that we mention it. So they had a post from someone, I think it was like Everything Buffalo or something on Instagram posted that. It's like Happy Nate Peterson Day. So wild. Yep.
That's awesome. But yes, to answer your question.
Nate Peterman, not Peterson. My gosh.
Big,
I'm all over the place.
Much more support from the Rams for sure. And of course, coming off the Super Bowl, they don't look like Super Bowl team this year. The NFL's, it's just week to week, man. You never know. Any given Sunday for sure.
Now, how about the Vikings? They got absolutely whooped today.
My goodness.
Rick was saying they're frauds, right? So if they're frauds, they beat us, And I'm thinking, in the second half, they're down like 26-3. I'm like, here we go again. Captain Kirk's going to lead them back. Kirk Thuggins, another big comeback. It just didn't happen. So I was kind of hoping they would pull that out just because it looks better for us. But, man, that was wild.
Man, who is it? Micah Parsons they have?
That
guy is unreal. Holy cow. He reminds me of LT back in the day.
Yeah,
he really
honestly.
does.
Yep.
And Red, White, and Bill says they put James on Kelsey. Maybe we should try Poyer on him.
I would love that. I think we've done that in the past, actually. But, I don't know how that actually worked out, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into my game notes, and then we'll get into yours and get through this and celebrate the victory and give everyone a little more time to celebrate even more. So some notes. Hey, we won a coin flip today. We won a coin flip, and it actually worked out. Yes, we kicked off, we deferred, and they come down and score a touchdown on us. But we were able to get the score right before half. Big L, I was pulling for him. He predicted that we'd have a opening kickoff, a touchdown on the first drive, and we get the ball in the third. We still were able to come down and get a field goal. So that was big. That was a big turning point in the game. So good stuff there. Bills give up. So here's something, Jake, just want to talk to you a little bit about what I've been seeing the last couple of games. So on that first drive, we gave up 2 big third down conversions. The defense does a great job, gets them in 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, I think it was. And I think in one case, Brissett took off, and another time he made a nice throw. But it seems to be a thing. And it was even last week when we played the Vikings. We had them, 4th and 18 for the ball game pretty much. And they made some big conversions as well. Anything? What do you think's going on there? I mean, they work so hard to get him in those long third and longs, fourth and longs, and to have them convert. Any thoughts
Yeah,
on that at all?
I think that's certainly frustrating as a Bills fan. I think it definitely comes down to the secondary, but also it comes down to missing Tremaine Edmonds in the middle because that guy disrupts the game so much. And I feel like he was almost disguising, the weaknesses that we might have in our secondary because he basically took away the middle of the field. I mean, you saw one of their fourth down conversions. It was to, I think, Harrison Bryant. It was right across the middle. I mean, a lot of those plays, just across the middle. The middle of the field was pretty much wide open. They're lucky on that. On one of their drives, they went down. They should have had a touchdown twice, and lucky for us, yeah, they dropped the pass. So it was. I think we are missing him so damn much. Dane Jackson again, struggled to look back at the ball, but then he finally did, Mike, and he made a great play. So that was good to see. You love to see these guys battle through adversity. I don't think Dane is a bad corner. I think he's going through a bit of a slump right now, and I think teams are starting to target him because if you put a big, tall, physical receiver on him, it seems like that person's going to win the battle every time. You saw it with Donovan Peoples-Jones, and then you also saw it with Justin Jefferson last week. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely is frustrating. You got to remember, too, these guys are pretty young. They're late round picks for a reason, quote unquote, right? I know Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier did a tremendous job of developing those guys, but yeah, today it was definitely not the prettiest game for any of them. Taron Johnson, Christian Benford, and Dane Jackson. Now, I will say there was one guy, and I credit Brett to mentioning this in the pregame or postgame show that him and Sean did earlier. He was talking about Xavier Rhodes. I thought Xavier Rhodes actually did a really nice job. He shoved Amari Cooper out of bounds on the one play. That was a big play because that could have been a touchdown for them. He's a big body guy. I would like to see more of him. If we're not going to have Trey White back, at least throw a guy out there that's a little bit bigger. So a lot of things, Mike, a lot of things to dissect, but I do think the biggest factor right now is missing Tremaine Edmonds.
And another Trey as well, Trey White.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we might as well get right into that too, right?
Well, let's hold on a second there for that. Because I need to follow up and I'm going to forget because I meant to ask you this last week. So first of all, I don't know. I haven't been able to see what the snap count was for Xavier Rhodes. I did like the fact that they were rotating him in, but I don't know how many snaps he was on the field. Do you happen to know?
I don't know an actual count. I'll have to go back. We'll have to watch the all.
I feel it wasn't that many, but it was good to see him out there, that veteran, out on the field. But he
was around the ball, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. And then so Dane Jackson, talk to me. I asked you and Sean earlier. I think it was. On the pregame or last time we were talking, and I'm like, are they teaching? I see this a lot. It's not just Dane Jackson. I've seen this in the NFL for years now, where a corner is trying to keep up with the receiver. He's not looking back whatsoever. He tries to time it. If he sees the receiver going up with his hands, then he'll do something with his hands. And sometimes that's not called, but is that what they're coaching these days? Or are you always supposed to turn, and when are you supposed to turn?
You're supposed to turn, and it's tough, Mike. I think corner is the hardest position to play in football. I mean, you got to watch the receiver's hips. You can't let the guy get outside leverage, and you can't let them win the contested balls, especially like the back shoulder balls, because those always come back to bite you. But when you're in a situation where a guy's going over the top and you're kind of just following him and running after him, you're already at a disadvantage. So you may as well look back and try to continue running, try to make a play. I thought Damar Hamlin did a really nice job today, but I got called for PI. I think that was a total makeup call. So I was very disappointed with that, but that's how you do it. I think that's textbook right there, how Damar Hamlin did that today. So, and then Dane, he rebounded. He had a really nice play at the end of the game where he sort of punched the ball out. And that time he finally kind of looked back, so It's a really difficult thing. Your timing has to be perfect. And on top of that, I mean, if you lose the battle at the line of scrimmage, you're already at a disadvantage. So, it's tough. He's playing against a guy like Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, bigger receivers, physical guys. So that's a tough matchup alone. So you can't throw too much on him, but, it is one of those things where it's gotten him in trouble the last 3 games or so here. So got to figure it out because I think he is a better corner than what we've been seeing lately.
Yeah, so both Cooper and Peoples-Jones had a pretty good game, right? Cooper had 8 catches, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Peoples-Jones had, 5 catches? 61 yards and a touchdown.
First touchdown of the year.
But when I watch the games, Jake, it feels like the corners have good coverage. They're on them. It's not like they're getting beat. They're getting, juked out of their shoes, broken ankles, as my kids say. They're with them stride for stride, but the technique maybe that being able to turn the head. And I feel like I'm seeing more of that from Dane. I haven't seen that from Benford too much at all. I thought Benford did okay. But yeah,
And I
so
think that's where you'll see these guys that have really good ball skills. That's where we're missing Trey a lot, because Trey's going to make a play every time. He'll even undercut some of these things. He'll purposely trail the receiver, and he'll still come up with a big play, as we've seen in the past. So yeah, obviously we really are missing him there in the secondary. But some of these younger guys, it's tougher. You can't really teach it, and then they lose those contested balls, and it is what it is, man. It sucks, and it's put us in these tough positions where the team kind of just stays around. It's been like that the past 3 games, even against the Packers.
yeah, I agree with you on the Hamlin call. It was a ticky tack, but
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was,
he
for
did
sure.
put his hand around slightly, so you could see why they called it. But he didn't need to do it. He made up the ground. It was a
Right.
great play by Hamlin,
It
and
was.
he continues to impress for sure,
Definitely.
100%. And then having Poyer next to him, helping him out is just, I think, just fantastic. So
For
looking
sure.
forward to that. So let's talk about Josh a little bit. So note here, it felt like the game, Josh was hesitant, right? It felt like he had been, Josh is hard on himself, and he's been hearing like Josh is throwing these games away for him. He's throwing these games away for us. He's losing these games for us. He needs to stay clean, stop throwing these interceptions, these turnovers. And it felt like he was playing very, very conservative to start the game. Like his throws weren't accurate. He seemed to not be handling the ball very well on snaps. And it was just strange to see that. But I also want to say this. So the whole game got off to a rough start, right? It was a slow start. And I think about 8 minutes left in the second quarter is really where it all started to come together for the Bills. And they kind of took off from there. But we have to remember a little bit like what this team went through this past week. I mean, I saw the video that you posted, and it was you or Sean who posted it about how all the folks in Buffalo were helping these players
Yeah.
out of their homes, helping them get to the airport. These guys, they had to walk blocks from the snow to kind of meet somebody who picked them up, and that would take them into at the stadium where they all got on a bus. But it was, I mean, it's a great video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I guess we can I'll put it in the description of this video afterwards. And if you're on our Discord, by the way, join our Discord. You'll be able to see that information as well. But fantastic. So you have to remember, Jake, my goodness, they didn't even know if they were going to get to the game. I heard that it was pretty chaotic. They were getting text messages, the players, and,
Yeah.
they had Saturday, and they had less practice time this week because of the snow. And then they had to worry about the stress of getting to the game. I mean, that has to take a toll a little bit. And I have to imagine that, that's part of the reason why they came out so flat. I don't know what your thoughts on that.
I would 100% agree. I mean, not just getting to the game, like getting to the airport. Like
Yeah.
Deion Dawkins posted a video. He opens his garage, and this is very similar to how my situation was. I mean, he had 6 feet of snow easy, and you have to walk through that. And they met a lot of these guys just at the end of their street, because a lot of the streets that connect to their street are main roads. So they were fortunately able to get into, a shuttle or someone else's truck or whatever. And a lot of these guys carpooled together and just found whoever had, that 4-wheel drive vehicle, got in and went to the stadium. So it's amazing how they were able to correlate and get everyone on the same page and get them all there, without any issues. And I think the flight even took off on time, which is even more impressive, because you think of like how the snow came down. Like it was nonstop all throughout Friday night. Didn't really stop until Saturday morning at like maybe 11, 12 o'clock. Then it picked up back again. So it was like these guys just got more snow on top of the snow that was already dumped. So it was just one of those things where you don't know if you're going to just be buried again in your house. Even if you did snow blow the night before, you're going to have, and it's heavy snow too. So Deion Dawkins is walking in the snow. I give him a little bit of credit. I'll take away some of his bad plays today just because his legs were probably so damn sore from walking through the snow.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have to remember that. I want to go back here a little bit. So it said Red, White, and Bill says secondary was atrocious for most part of the game. TJ, Terrence Johnson is making me pull my hair out. We can talk about Terrence Johnson here if you'd like. And then how hungry is JA for, what is that represent?
That's a turkey leg, Mike.
Oh, yes.
Well, we know Josh Allen on Thanksgiving is like, I think he's undefeated. So, and the Bills on Thanksgiving, we've played on Thanksgiving 3 of the last 4 years. We've won all the games pretty handily. So, it kind of started back when we played the Cowboys. Josh Allen has that incredible QB sneak, gets the whole team fired up. That was really, I think that was like the turning point of the season that year. And then, last year we had the Trey White injury. You could also argue maybe that was a potential turning point. I know the Buccaneers game probably was officially that turning point, but when Trey White goes down with the injury, that's a big storyline. So now you have him playing against the Lions here, trying to get back on track, trying to get 8-3. I think Josh is going to be very hungry for a turkey leg. He's going to ball out. He knows he knows the field there. He knows what to expect. So we're going to be just fine.
Yeah, Red Wine Bill says we got to blow out the Lions, and it's been a long month. Let's get some momentum because, that's a big game following that.
Then a tough month for Buffalo sports in general, Mike. Yeah. I mean, UB's not doing well. The Sabres lost 8 in a row. The Bills just coming off, a 2-game losing streak, and even so today, I think a lot of people are still not super satisfied with the win. A win is a win, of course, but yeah, I think you got to just go out there and beat the brakes off this team, and that's a good Lions team, by the way.
Yeah. They definitely, it's crazy. Even last year, they were in a lot of games that they could have won. They put up points. Did you see, and I don't know if this is true or just the broadcast kind of having some fun, but they were saying that the Bills, first of all, the Bills took the visiting team, even though they were home team today, they get the visiting locker. And at the end of the game, they left a note saying, we left the tables intact. We'll be back. We'll see you Thursday.
That's awesome.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Saying that they left the tables intact, pretty darn funny. So anyhow, Josh Allen gets off to a slow start, and the whole team did in general. And like I said, he looked hesitant, but he got things going. It's crazy to think, Jake, I don't know the last time you're this trivia guy, but we didn't get a first down until 8 minutes left in the second quarter. Unbelievable, right? It was like, Are you kidding me? We were able to muster up a field goal because we kicked that 56-yarder, I think, by Bass. So we had I think it was when we recovered the fumble in that game. So
that's right.
56-yarder. We had no first downs until 8 minutes left in the second quarter, and then we start going. And you got to look at it. I mean, Josh Allen, the rest of the game, I don't know the numbers. I think I heard Sean say it was 14 of 17, his last 17 passes, and he didn't make no mistakes. And so there you go. No mistakes. Trust your team. We've been saying that, right? But we're always we're expecting Jacoby Brissett numbers, right? 324 yards, 3 touchdowns. We're always expecting that of Josh, but Josh, we've been saying, has to rely on his team, trust his team, and he did that, made no mistakes, was efficient. It's crazy to think he only ran the ball 3 times for 7 yards. I know he had a great run that got called back, which is BS, but Josh, finally, not having to just put everything on his back, and I thought he played a very good game, very efficient game, and did everything he needed to do to get us a win. So I'm super happy with his play. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, you mentioned it, Mike. It's like Jacoby Brissett's numbers and Josh Allen's numbers. Normally they're reversed. Even the rushing stats. Jacoby Brissett had 7 carries, 29 yards, which usually Josh even has double that. But Josh goes for 7 yards rushing today, one of those being a kneel down, so you can't really count it. But yeah, it was a very methodical game for him. I think he took what the defense gave him in the second half especially. It was really nice to see Dawson Knox get involved, and it's good to have a safe blanket guy. And I think they're still developing that chemistry, especially, those shorter plays, the shorter throws. And he was looking for that a lot more. He didn't force anything. He wasn't trying to push the ball downfield. There was the one play. You could see there were a couple moments in the first half. I don't think so much in the second half. He really pulled it together in the second half. The first half, he came out flat. He looked like he was, seeing ghosts. He looked super pale. I don't know if he was shot up with painkillers or what the deal was, but he looked stiff. He looked nervous. He looked like he just didn't want to make a mistake. And then he got looser. And then when you started seeing him show some emotion, he was back in the game, and Josh was so back. And then he had some insane throws. The one that really sticks out to me is on one of our last drives. He does a pump fake, and he throws it to Dawson Knox. And I'll tell you what, Dawson does a hell of a job running after the catch. So I love that. Finding a guy like that, getting him hit on the short routes like it, he was tremendous today. But that pump fake, for him to hold on to the football like that, given the damage he has to his elbow, I know he says it's a non-factor, but you can't tell me that's got to still be lingering a little bit. And he has nerve damage too. And that was the biggest thing, was him not being able to grip the football. So for him to hold on to that, he came full throw, almost a full throw through, Mike. And then he throws it to Dawson Knox after the pump fake. That was unbelievable. And then he has a great throw to Gabe Davis. Then we cap it off with a Devin Singletary touchdown. So Yeah, I love it. I think he had some really nice plays, some really nice throws. We did have a drop by Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis almost comes down with that really nice one-hander, but the ball placement was a lot better in the second half for him as well. So I think overall his play got better and better as the game went, and I love seeing stuff like that. You always want to see it trend upwards instead of starting hot and going back down. That's where he's been the last 3 weeks, really.
Yeah, I thought it was Gabe who dropped the ball. I didn't see Diggs drop a ball.
It was a touchdown pass to Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
It was
I think
it was
Davis had a drop too.
He did. Oh, he did. Yeah, he had a couple drops today. So and then he almost muffs the onside kick too. So that would have been the biggest drop of the day. But thank God. Hey, we're not going to dwell on that.
This is kind of funny. I was listening to Sean and Brett's, and Sean was like, "Why are you putting that guy out there?" And you think about that, you're like, "Why wouldn't you put our second wide receiver out there? Supposed to be the second best receiver on the team." But yeah, he played that extremely poor, and he's had problems catching the ball. And I don't know about you, but I was thinking to myself, I was comfortable, after we got up by more than 2 scores. But all of a sudden, they make it a 1-score game, and I'm thinking, could they find another way to lose? And this would be even crazier, right? To get the onside kick and all that, but it didn't happen. We're all happy. Good stuff there. So yeah, I agree. Josh Allen, I felt it was a good game for him. Get back in things, have a clean game, no interceptions. Did he throw? Yeah, he threw the one, which was a wide open pass to Diggs. Diggs, beautiful route. And then Josh just threw it in there, rocket arm. So that was a good thing. And then just another thing. I don't know if you were keeping an eye on the Patriots-Jets game.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, is that game paused? Is there something going on? Is there a problem with weather? It's 3-3.
Yeah.
And it didn't change until 24 seconds left in the game. The Jets punt the ball, looking like it's going to go to OT, and they have I don't know how long of a punt return it was for the Patriots, but what the heck, man? I looked, there was no weather problems. I don't know if it was just horrible offense or just a good old-fashioned defensive battle, Jake. Did you keep an eye on that game?
Yeah, it was a defensive battle. I know Matt Judon had another big day. I think he just broke the record for most sacks under a Bill Belichick coach regime in New England. So he's got like 13 and a half sacks now on the year. He's having an unbelievable year. That defense they're really coming along, and they got some young players on that defense, Mike. They're not even like that stout defense that we always talked about from years past. They got some young bucks and some older guys in the back with Devin McCourty, but they're a well-coached team. Steve Belichick's got those guys. He's got those guys playing good ball right now. And offensively, I mean, you look at who they have offensively, so you're not really expecting a ton, but they were able to get it done on the defensive side, and they returned that punt for a touchdown. First punt return for a touchdown this year, which is wild. But, what an ending for that one. I feel bad for the Jets. That absolutely sucks.
Yeah, Belichick somehow getting it done, and now they're 6-4. The Jets are 6-4. By the way, we jumped into second place in the AFC East, technically tied with wins and losses, but they had the tiebreaker on us. But we're in control of our own destiny, right? We play these teams. We play the Jets, we play the Dolphins, and then we play the Patriots twice. So you win those games, you're probably going to win the AFC East. So I like that. 3 of those 4 games against our AFC opponents are at home in Buffalo.
Right.
So that's nice to have there. You planning on getting to any of those games?
I would like to. I usually get to a late December game, so we'll see what the ticket prices look like. Like I said, I put my deposit in for season tickets next year, so
that's right.
I got to probably get to one game this year just to get the sort of, the feel for it in the late December time frame, because I went to the season opener and I went to the game in Miami, but I got to get that cold weather feel, Mike. So I'll probably make it to one of those.
Yeah, I like what Red, White, and Bill says here. We need a full game of football, especially when playoffs arrive. Yeah, it's kind of like we haven't seen, I don't know, when's the last time, I think the Titan game, obviously the Ram game, but look at the Rams, man. We were all hyped about that. They're just not a good team this year. The Titans, I don't know how we blew them out because they've turned things around a little bit, but it's felt like that. It's been a while since we've had a complete game, firing all cylinders. And hopefully, like somebody said earlier, we can go out, have a big day on Thanksgiving, and just build that momentum going into a big 3-game stretch. We go to the Patriots, then we play the Dolphins and the Jets. So 3 AFC East teams back to back to back. That's going to be big.
A couple primetime games coming up, too. I don't know if you count the Thanksgiving as a primetime game, but it is. the national televised type deal, right? And we got Romo and Nance calling that game. Then we play again next Thursday on Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, so another random thought I had. So how nice is it to have a kicker you can trust?
Man.
6 of
Yeah.
6. This is the second time he's done it, tied with Steve Christie. Steve Christie's done it once. Bass has done it twice. But how good is it that, without these points, without these 18 points, we don't win this game.
Right.
And he started that 56-yarder, dude. I think that would have went from 65 easily.
Absolutely, it would have. Yeah, I mean, it's so nice to see. I think he was starting to lose a little bit of confidence because he was missing some easy ones, and he wasn't really getting out there enough to kick field goals. So now he got 6 on the day today. Great snaps, great holds, great kicks. And I think he is certainly worthy, and I don't want to foreshadow, but I think he's worthy of one of those MVP candidates, Mike, no doubt. So tremendous job by him.
I have to agree. I mean, it's much easier to kick in a dome than it is in Buffalo.
Absolutely.
But everything was just straight on perfect. It was like, no doubt. As soon as you saw that ball up there, I'm like, oh my God. The 56-yarder, I was worried. I'm like, that's a long one. But he drilled it, nailed it.
Oh, yeah.
So love it. He's doing fantastic. And, what about our punter, Sam Martin? Like, he doesn't get on the field a lot, but when he does, special teams on our kicker has just been killing it this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't agree more. I mean, really, you look at the mistakes we've made. I mean, maybe a couple missed field goals. We had the one play last week by Reed Ferguson where he lifted up, but no shanked punts, really. Every punt seems to either be a muff or, pinned within the 20. So, yeah, I have no complaints about the specials, Mike. I think we've done a really good job with the short kickoff scheme, too, because we usually stop them before the 25. So that nets out to be a pretty good average as well on our end. So, across the board, we've done a really, really bang-up job with the special teams this year.
Yeah, Sean brings up a good point here. The Chiefs game, that was probably the last time we had a really complete game. I mean, we won that game. We went into Arrowhead, got the big W, and then now it's been a little bit, this piece shows up, and got to get it all back together, which I have full confidence that we will.
For sure.
And then we got the Dutch chiming in there. Dutch
welcome,
Flats. The Bills need to go Beasley back. I think you said he's burned the bridges and he doesn't want to go to Buffalo.
I would love to have him back. I think he was one of the most reliable players we've had over the last 5 seasons. The guy would make every catch on third down. The stuff he did for this franchise, I mean, he put his body on the line every single play. I mean, even in that last Chiefs game, I think he still had 8 catches. It was for like 32 yards, but every catch was important. And that was Josh's safe blanket. But I will say today, it was really nice to see, especially, taking what the defense gives you, hitting the middle of the field a little bit with Dawson Knox, hitting them in the flats. You started to see some of that short passing game coming back. So I think we're on to something with it. And I am really pumped about that. It's about time we start using our, 6th highest paid tight end in the league here.
The highest defensive player on our team, who probably gets all the notoriety, and deservingly so, Von Miller. But if you were to ask me who is the MVP of our defense this year so far, it's Matt Milano. And Absolutely. I have to feel Von's a close second. He gets all the sexy sacks and all that good stuff. But Matt Milano, oh my goodness, he's been killing it. My MVP right now for that defensive side of the ball. Let me just give you some stats here from him today. 12 tackles, my friend, 1 sack, 3 tackles for losses, and 1 quarterback hit. He's playing at a next level. It's just insane.
Yeah. I think it was Jordan Phillips who said post-game, too. He was saying, you got to start talking about, defensive player of the year for this guy. That's how good he's played.
Yeah.
He's saying he's the best linebacker in football, which you can't really argue. I mean, he's always around the ball. I think he's tied for the most tackles for losses in the league. And this isn't even a blitzing linebacker. This is a guy that's playing that weak side linebacker in a nickel defense. So he's not, he had a sack today, but he's not that guy. He's not that edge rusher, So those TFLs, those are all TFLs usually in the run game, which is even more impressive. And again, today, what an impact. Thank God we had him, Mike, because I don't know if it would have been the same type of game. I think that was a huge part. And, obviously not allowing Nick Chubb to have, a ton of yards. And even so, we limited Kareem Hunt too. So just, man, what a gem. What a freaking gem, man.
Yeah, Nick Chubb, my goodness, what was it? Is running for today?
19 yards.
Oh my God, 14 for 19 yards. It's crazy. You talk about, we played 2 of the best running teams in the game today. We played the Titans with Derrick Henry. We played the Browns with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Right.
And we shut both those teams down. And then we play other teams and the last couple games, and they run all over us. So it's fantastic showing by this defense, and it wasn't because they were playing catch up. It really wasn't. They were still trying to stick to that.
They
run
had
game.
control for the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
they were physically imposing us a little bit, to start that game off. So
Yeah.
I think the Browns looked like the drought Bills, actually. They were beating themselves so bad today. I feel bad if you're a Browns fan because that's a tough loss to take. And I think they had a lot of opportunities, but they just squandered them all.
So I got two more notes, and then I'll throw it to you, and then we'll get into our MVP candidates and also players that we want to see a little bit more from. But James Cook was cooking. And I know you got excited at a certain point because you're like, damn, I'm going to be able to catch Mike on this bet. He was actually at one point ahead of Singletary in total yards. You're like, yes, let's close the gap. But my boy Singletary was able to edge him out by 11 yards. They both rushed for 86 yards. And Singletary had a couple catches for 11 yards, so give Singletary. For those that don't know, Jake and I have a nice little fun bet going on. Who's going to have the most total yards between Devin Singletary and James Cook? They're starting to get Cook involved a little bit more, and you kind of called that early in the season. I think you said, maybe you did. I think you even said about halfway through the season, we should start seeing Cook get involved more, and we're starting to see that. And I'm so happy that they're, we were worried with Hines coming in. And I want to see Hines because that guy had a fantastic game today.
Electric.
As well.
Yeah.
He is something else. Get him the ball. But it's good that they're not taking a lot of playtime away from Cook, and he's benefiting from it, man. I know we have that bet, but fantastic, right? And Josh Allen, he ran for 7 yards. He ran one other time. But how nice is it to have a running game? The Bills finally got it going, and I'll throw it to you to talk about that running game a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And you take away the Reggie Gilliam holding penalty, which I think Reggie had a little bit of a tough game today. I know he's battling through an illness, but, man, you take that holding penalty away. I think Devin Singletary is probably near 100 yards on the day, Mike. So I had a bold prediction in the pregame. I said he was going to have 95 rushing yards. So I think he would have gotten that total. So pretty proud about that one. But how nice was that? I mean, we had two backs that were over 85 rushing yards. You never see that. I mean, this is like we're starting to, we're working these guys in the offense. I know it was a little bit slower for James Cook to start, getting his legs underneath him. And even to start this game, he missed a really, wide open cutback lane. And that was tough to watch because then he just goes down I think he went right down at the line of scrimmage or a 1 yard loss. So for him to rebound and really, make the most of a bad situation, he did a really nice job. So, and the explosion too. I mean, he looked good. And Motor ran hard again too. He always does. I really like Motor. I think they could be a really good 1-2 punch.
Yeah, so Cook actually had the better average yards per run with 7.8. Yeah. And Singletary had 4.8. But between the two of them, 86 yards each. Amazing, amazing stuff. And to see Josh only have to run 3 times for 7 yards. Again, he made another fantastic play. I think it was like 3rd and 18? He runs it from 18 yards and it's called back. And that was, I think that was the Gilliam hold, wasn't it?
No, that was Roger Saffold. The Gilliam hold was an
right.
I-formation play, and then Devin Singletary had a really nice run. They got called back.
So, I mean, a lot of teams, they're kind of like saying, look, we're going to let them beat us. If they can beat us with the run, great. We're going to take away the pass and attack. And they've done a good job with that, and we haven't been able to take advantage on the ground. This game we did, and I hope to see more of that going forward. We got to loosen up that secondary a little bit, make them respect the run. And then Josh and, Diggs and Gabe and all those guys. There were some very quiet guys today. Like, did we even see McKenzie? Did we even see McKenzie?
He had one target, I think, today. And it was
one target, 0 catches. Crazy stuff. Yeah. So, I don't know. It seems like teams, they're doing their job. They're taking away Josh Allen and that passing attack. And this is what we're going to need to do, keep this running game going. So, hey, keep doing that. We'll open up the passing game for sure.
For sure. I do think you have to still find a way to scheme these guys, these gadget players. Nyheim Hines needs at minimum 5 offensive plays a game and scheme him into those plays. Like make him that primary target because he has to. You got to give him the ball. He had -8 rushing yards today, and it was because of a great play made by Jadeveon Clowney where Gabe Davis whipped on a block.
Yeah.
He's never going to win that matchup. But Jadeveon Clowney is a mammoth of a human being. I know Gabe's a bigger receiver, but come on now. You got to give him a little bit of help. And listen, I know, obviously Nyheim has some speed, but you're not gonna make that play to the outside, not with Gabe going up against Jadeveon Clowney. So I was glad to see they tried, but I want more. Like you shouldn't have stopped there. So you gotta find a way, Mike. You have to. You really do. You got to make that trade worth your while.
Yeah, I agree. Some would say Clowney actually grabbed his face mask and pulled him down.
Yeah,
there.
actually, I did see that. Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was a bad call on the refs.
Yeah, I did too.
Or
A lot of bad calls today. To
no
be honest.
call today.
Yeah.
So my last note, I'll throw it to you for a little bit. Again, we kind of talked about this, but again, it came back up in my thoughts as I was looking through the stats here. So this is another week where a number one receiver had a big game against the Bills. And I think a lot of it too was, you could argue that we were going to shut down the run, and we did. So if you shut down a run, what does that mean? You're sacrificing the pass a little bit. It doesn't feel like and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm missing it, but I don't feel like we're doubling some of these number one receivers when we should. Am I missing it? Are we doubling them? Maybe it's a scheme I don't understand. I see the safeties, they come in late, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a lot. I mean, we run primarily zone. We have guys that could play press coverage and I think do a pretty solid job. They're more physical, obviously. Kyer Elam, that's the type of scheme he came from. But a lot of times it's just a zone coverage look, and these receivers just eat up. They take the underneath stuff and then they hit you on a deep route, and they win the contested balls. So that's another thing, Mike. I think coverage has actually been, as you mentioned, I think for the most part, coverage hasn't been awful.
Right.
It's just the aftermath. Because they win, it seems like they've won, 80% of the 50-50 balls. And when they're doing that, it doesn't make for a very, defensive game for you. It makes for a very long day. And you saw that with Amari Cooper today. I will say the ball placement by Jacoby Brissett was incredible today. He looked like Josh Allen out there. He did an amazing job today. Obviously not quite as mobile and not quite the threat that that Josh brings, in terms of running the football. But Jacoby can still move. But some of the throws he made today were really, really impressive to me. But again, Amari Cooper, really good receiver. He's going to win that matchup, I feel like, 9 times out of 10 against a corner like Dane Jackson, just because of his pedigree. He's a good football player. He's a really good receiver.
Yeah, I think, again, kudos to Brissett. He did have a fantastic game. 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He ran the ball 7 times for 29 yards, average 4.1. He made he extended some plays nicely. And he's auditioning, right? It's like he knows, they even announced it on the broadcast that in 2 weeks, when Deshaun can come back, he's going to be the starter and Brissett's going to go to the bench again. But I think with that, if Brissett has another good game, he sets himself up for maybe something next year. I really do think that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think he's going to be one of those typical journeymen, almost like Fitzy, where he doesn't turn the ball over as much as Fitzy.
Yeah.
But I think he's starting to develop into that type of quarterback. But very serviceable guy, as we mentioned, Mike. He's not a bad quarterback at all.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I would love to have him as a backup for us.
I was saying the same thing. What a great backup he would be for Josh. I mean, shoot. Definitely.
He almost played in the second snow game ever. So
yeah, that's right. Yes. Yep.
But he avoided that. All right, so Jake, let me throw it to you. Any game notes you picked up during the game that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I would say the main thing, obviously, is the lack of, taking away the middle of the field. We're missing Tremaine Edmonds so damn much. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. His presence is missed. I hope we can get him back for that Detroit game, because they got a guy named Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best slot receivers in football right now. He's absolutely tearing it up. And listen, if we can take him out of the game, I think that's huge. The offense, runs through him and Jamal Williams right now. So that would be one piece, we can certainly benefit from, is having a guy, and listen, I love Terrell Dotson. He had 13 tackles. He plays pretty well against the run, but his coverage skills are not even in the same ballpark. And there is a significant drop off when the other teams are passing the football against us, because you can just tell. I mean, the middle of the field's wide open every time. So, yeah, all the Tremaine haters were saying, he's not coming up and making plays, this, that, and other. But we were holding teams to 180 passing yards a game. Now we just let Jacoby Brissett throw for 324 yards. And I'm not saying it's just all because of, Tremaine Edmonds being out of the game. But also, you saw the drop off even last week with Kirk Cousins, how much better he played in the second half when Tremaine was out. So, we got to find a way to get him back, because we are really missing him in the middle. And I think you activate A.J. Klein too, then you have 2 pretty good run-stopping linebackers that can, shift in as well if we ever do decide to go to that 4-3 base instead of the nickel. So that's one thing. I think another thing is I would say just finally finding ourselves, having a decent run game. It was really good to see. I thought the interior guys played awesome today. Both of our guards played really well. I think Mitch Morse played a pretty decent game. There was one kind of bad snap, but otherwise the interior played a really, really sound game of football. They were opening up holes left and right. So really, really happy with that. Brett mentioned it in his show. He said he challenged Aaron Cromer, because we just weren't getting it done up front. It's every time we run the football, it's like we run into a wall. But today, you saw those lanes opening up. You saw the defense, respecting it a little bit more. And we just had two guys go over 85 yards, which is an amazing thing, Mike. And on top of that, we're protecting number 17, which is the most important part. So, big shout out to the run game. Big shout out to the O-line. Just a really good job. And then lastly,
hold on one second. I just want to say there is a video going around. You work 5 minutes from the stadium. There's a rumor and a video. I got to get it. Apparently, you went over to the stadium when the Bills were practicing, and somehow you got in. You got to Aaron Cromer. You talked to him, and you gave him all the information that we've been talking about, what the Red, White, and Bills and the Go Bills podcast have been talking about. And apparently, it worked. So, Jake, keep doing that. I know.
I guess
you're literally 5 minutes away from the stadium, so I got to get the video. I'm trying to work with somebody there who's not supposed to release that, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get it.
I love it. That's great. Yes, hell yeah. Yeah. And then lastly, I was just going to say Dawson Knox. I mean, how nice was it to see the emergence of this guy? He tied a career high in catches with 7. He made some really nice catches today, too. I mean, right on the fingertips. Yep. He had the one play that was a close fumble, but he was down. I mean, big plays, too. Every single play with him. I mean, you throw the guy the football, too. He's not going down easy. He's going to get that first down at all costs. He's a tough, put a shoulder down type of guy. He runs you right over. He's looking to run you over, which I love that. He is the epitome of grit. This guy is playing through a lot. He's got a lot of emotions, that I'm sure, they've come out a little bit this year, but man, he did a really, really good job today. So just really happy for him. And man, it's nice to have a safe blanket tight end again, Mike, finally.
Yeah, it almost feels like that plays there all the time. It feels like a check down. It's a little further down the field, but it's like he looks deep and there's Knox. He's wide open for that 10 to 15 yard over on the side there. And Dawson made some nice plays and runs well with the ball and got to use him more. We've been saying that. So it was great to see him today show up and we get him the ball. But yeah, doesn't it feel like it's like a checkoff? It's like Joshua will survey the field and there he is. It doesn't feel like the play call is for him. It seems like he's a second or third option.
Right. He's the safety blanket. He's essentially like that. I guess you can call him the Cole Beasley type guy, except most of the plays today were in the flats, which that's fine. The flats were wide open. Take what the defense gives you, dump it out there. I'd rather throw to him than Devin Singletary. No offense, because I just feel like Dawson's a better receiver. He's a bigger body.
Big guy.
And, I mean, you see him lunge out for those first downs. I mean, there's something to be said about his height, too. The guy has the wingspan to get the first down every time. So we'll take it, Mike. One last shout-out. I want to shout out Stephon Diggs because he showed so much selflessness and composure today. A guy that wasn't really being targeted at all early on in the game, but he was out there blocking in the run game, making plays. He had that like little conversation with Sean McDermott. You probably saw that on the broadcast, and I don't know what they were saying, but it was pretty much probably something along the lines of like, hey, get me the football, but also I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. The guy, you can tell, is a winner, and he wants to win. He's not here to put up numbers. I'm sure he loves being targeted. He wants to be able to be the guy to make the play, but for him to show the maturity that he did today and be an asset in the run game, I mean, he's throwing blocks out there, Mike. He's not a big guy by any means. He's only 6 foot 190. So it was really, really refreshing to see. And I love a receiver that blocks. So that was awesome, man. I'm very happy with that. And hey, he just joined Stevie Johnson as the only Bills receiver in NFL history, well, in Bills history, I should say, not NFL history, to have 3 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons as a Buffalo Bill. So that's awesome. There's a lot of guys that could have fallen on that list. You talk about Andre Reed, Eric Moulds, Lee Evans. None of those guys did that. Stevie Johnson and Steph Diggs. That's it.
That's amazing when you say those other names.
Yeah.
It was, and he's only through 10 games. He's got 7 more games. This guy could put up huge numbers. So when they cut to that, when they on the broadcast, when they mentioned that there was a conversation, I was a little worried, and I saw Diggs there, and Diggs can get heated, but he stayed so calm. And I was waiting for them, like you've seen players go at it with coaches, right? I've seen it over the years. But Diggs was just like listening. He probably said, "Hey, coach, get me the ball, please." And McDermott was in his ear, being calm as well. I thought that was a great moment. And of
That was
course,
a really, really impressive moment. And I
yeah,
think that just kind of goes to show like the maturity of him, because I feel like Stephon Diggs from 4 years ago when he was in Minnesota probably would have, blown a cork on
yeah,
Mike Zimmer. So yeah, that was good to see. Hey,
yeah,
Jake, what's up, baby? Great guy. Great guy. Appreciate you watching the show. I've seen you in the comments the last couple of weeks, man. Thank you for watching.
yeah, absolutely. And I always forget to say this: if you're new to the channel, which I know he's not, but there might be some others. If you're new to the channel, please like, comment, and drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. We greatly appreciate it.
Definitely. Yep.
So does that complete your list, sir?
Yeah, that completes my list.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a little long-winded there, so I
No,
apologize.
no. Mine was much longer than yours, but I'm sure I touched on some of the things you wanted to talk about as well. So let's get into the MVP candidates for this game. Let's start with the offense now, and I want to hear from the channel your MVP candidates, because we're gonna pick just one when it's all said and done. The candidate can be a group, could be like a defensive line, offensive line, could be a single player. Let's start with you, Jake. Tell me your MVP candidates from the offensive side of the ball.
I'm going to give it to the group of running backs. And I apologize. I probably stole it right out of your beautiful head.
No.
But yeah, I mean, shoot, this was finally, both of them I thought did a really good job, even getting to the second level and making the cutbacks and, minus the one play that James Cook had. I mean, outside of that, they both ran super well today. So, obviously credit to the offensive line, but shoot, we got to give it to the running backs. It was nice to see some numbers put up from those guys.
All right. For me on that offensive side, I mean, you can't run the ball without an offensive line blocking, tight ends blocking. I would give it to the offensive line.
Fair enough.
I thought they did very well on the run blocking. Let me ask you this. Myles Garrett, I mean, he's gonna win some. So how do you think the battle went between him and Dawkins?
There were the moments for sure where I think Dion was beat quite a few times, actually. But again, like I said, he was walking through 6 feet of snow yesterday, so I'm sure the legs were a little bit sore underneath him. But I think he rebounded really well. Both him and Spencer Brown in the second half, I thought, played a much better half of football. So that was definitely good to see. But there were some plays where both of them got beat. I mean, Spencer Brown really was exposed a few times. So, for them to kind of tie that up a little bit, play better in the second half, that was good to see.
I do want to mention there are a couple of injury notes that we might have forgot to say. I did hear that Mitch Morse and Epinesa were both in walking boots at the end of the game. Is that what I heard correctly?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Did Morse get taken out at some point? I feel like he played the whole game.
I think he did. Yeah, I think the only guy to get injured that was taken out, and he's not even technically a starter, was David Quessenberry. So he was in for the one play, and I saw he went down with an injury. And I think he was also in a walking boot. So it was him, AJ Epinesa, and Mitch Morse.
Yeah,
Epinesa left. Yeah,
he went out pretty early, I want to say.
Yeah, he did.
So, I mean, without Epinesa, you saw a lot of Boogie Basham in there. Hoping we can get hoping we can get Rousseau back, and I hope it's not too long. I feel like whenever you're in a boot, it's like an automatic 2 weeks you're going to miss, at the very least.
Sometimes it could just be like compression and stuff, but yeah, it's never a good sign per se. And especially with the turnaround on Thursday, I don't know. It kind of definitely makes me feel a little skeptical.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw, okay, we gave our candidates. So candidates can be more than just one. I'm going to throw, because they're candidates, right? These are candidates. Yeah. These are like Oscar candidates. So like, who's going to win the Oscar? And they mentioned like 50 people. But I'm going to throw Dawson Knox out there as well, and then Josh Allen.
Agree.
Josh only because I said it in the pregame show, my key matchup was Josh against Josh. And while he struggled early, he came on, was very efficient, did what we needed to do to win the game. So I'll throw him out there as a candidate as well.
I like those.
Let's flip over to the defensive side. I'll throw it to you first. Who are your MVP candidates for this game from the defensive side?
The standout is definitely Matt Milano. So that's an easy answer. But if I had to give it to another guy, I mean, definitely Eddie Oliver. He was eating up on the inside. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, the Browns have a really good offensive line. They got some dogs up front. And Joel Bitonio and, you got Jack Conklin. You got a couple other guys, Ethan Postich, who I know went out of the game. Wyatt Teller, former Bill. So that was not an easy task by any means for Eddie Oliver, but he did a really, really nice job today. Played a really good game. So I'm going to say those two.
Okay. I'm going to say Milano, of course, and we'll get to special teams, but this Big Al just made it interesting or harder for me, at least, throwing out Bass. 6 field goals. Without those, we don't win that game. So that's a good one for sure, Big Al. Like
Yep.
that. So for me, yeah, it's got to be Milano for one of them. And gosh, that's got to be it for me on the defensive
Daquan
side.
Jones, maybe.
You talked about the defensive tackles, right? Defensive tackles. I mean, when you shut down this Cleveland running game,
Yeah.
let's throw them a candidate, right? We got to give the defensive tackles, the interior of that line, make them a candidate. I do want to ask you. I thought you were right. You called it on the pregame. I mean, I was expecting more sacks from us. I really was, but they did a pretty damn good job protecting Brissett. So you were right. They had a very good offensive line. Von Miller got close maybe once or twice, but we only got to him once, and that was Milano. Milano was the only one to be able to sack him.
Von made a lot of plays, though, that really, I mean, they're not going to see him on a stat sheet. Like, he helped a lot of those TFLs and a couple in the one sack, actually. That was part him on that, because he was in the middle of that play, and he allowed for these guys to sort of run free. So he did a lot of things that you're not going to see on a stat sheet. So I think Von Miller, again, made his presence known today.
Yeah. All right, well, we're at that moment. Who is the MVP of this game for you? Can only be one of those candidates we mentioned. I'm going to throw it to you, Jake. Before you say anything, give us an update on that game. What's the score right now?
Let's see. It looks like we just had a completion to Keenan Allen, who's back now.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's 20-16 Chargers, and it looks like they're starting to drive a little bit. Third quarter with 5 minutes and 43 seconds left. So, yeah.
All right. We'll have
not bad, Mike.
We'll have some time to catch the rest of that game, and that's an important one for us. We
It
definitely
is,
are pulling for the Chargers here.
For sure. Yeah, overall MVP. Oh, man, this is really difficult, but I think it's going to have to be my guy, James Cook. And I think the reasoning behind that is just because the explosive plays that he made today, I thought were all very important, and it gave us some momentum on offense. Like, all those plays that followed after he had a big run seemed to be like positive plays for the most part. So he kind of got us started with those momentum plays. So I'm going to give it to James Cook. 11 carries, 86 yards. And listen, I know I'm a little biased, but man,
I know you are.
Some great plays by him today.
He's going to hear this. He knows we have a little bit of a bet. And
you're saying, wait. So you're saying overall MVP or
of this game?
Oh, so we're talking offense, defense.
Everybody, yes. Of all the people that we made,
offense.
Of all the people we made a candidate.
Okay, yeah.
Is
well,
the one.
Okay, I'm not going to give it to James Cook. I'm not going to give it to James Cook. I apologize. I don't know why I'm thinking, hey, we got to give one to each: offense, defense, special teams.
No.
All right. Well, in that case, I have to say Matt Milano. I mean, I can't not say Matt Milano. Although Tyler Bass is a very close second for me.
Yeah, and the reason we do that because Nickel City Mafia, we do have a budget. We bought this beautiful Nickel City Mafia game ball. It's gold. It's beautiful. It's on order. We'll show it to you sometime. But yeah, we're trying to make it, it's easy to just say game balls for everybody, but we put out the candidates. We know that there are a lot of good players in this game, a lot of players that really stepped up. And for me, it also has to be Milano, although Big Al put that bug in my ear and it made me think, yeah, that Bass could have. For me, he's probably the second one as well. So
for sure,
good stuff there. Lastly, Jake, we didn't say this, but was there anybody? Can you name a player or two or three that you want to see more from? They need to step up going forward here that you've been a little disappointed with lately. Anybody come to mind?
I really think, I guess you could say it's the secondary, our corners. But again, I don't think the coverage was god awful by any means. It's just a matter of winning the contested plays. So we got to be better in that category. But I saw some better play as the game went on. Obviously, you had that garbage time touchdown by Donovan Peoples-Jones, but it couldn't have been. It may have not been garbage time if they get that onside kick. So, I think it's just the secondary not letting up these big plays because it seems to really kill us, especially on like third down. In fourth down situations. So I would say if there's any type of disappointment, it would be something like that, Mike.
All right. I'm thinking, thinking that about the same. It was nice to see Xavier finally on the field, right? Xavier
For
Rhodes.
sure.
And I think hopefully he continues to stay active. I think he brings a nice veteran presence. I think he can help the young guys quite a bit, much like Trey could do, and much like we thought, much like both Micah Hyde and Poyer do. So it'd be nice to have him there. He can make plays. He's kind of a bigger corner, right? Isn't he like 6'1", 200 pounds, almost like a safety?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he's
so
big.
he's a bigger corner, and maybe some of those bigger corners that we've been struggling against, he could help out in those situations. But for me, yeah, if there's anyone I want to see a little bit more from, yeah, I guess again, I feel like the corners, if they can just get a few breaks going their way, because I feel like they can test it. So I think they'll get better. But I'm gonna roll with you on that one. I'll say corners as well.
I like
Nobody
it.
else.
By the way, Xavier Rhodes, 6'1", 210.
210, nice position.
Yeah.
Again, a guy that you might, as he gets up there in age, transition to safety. So
Right. Yeah.
but good to see him out there, because yeah, we want that physicality. We don't have that in our corners. He brings that, and if we do have a big physical guy that we're trying to defend, he could definitely do it. So I'm excited about that. We didn't talk about Trey White much. We could talk about Trey White for hours. I think we'll probably do a little bit more of that on our Tuesday show. We're doing a special show. I already mentioned it. We're going to go live Tuesday night for a special Thanksgiving pregame show for the Detroit game, because my friend Jake over here has some type of ritual he does on Wednesday. He goes out bar hopping on Thanksgiving Eve, which he says is a thing. I'm going to check. I'm going.
Oh, it's a thing.
I'm going to fact check if that's a thing in California. Anyone ever heard of that? And,
Tom, back me up here. You would know. Tom S. You would know.
Tom, tell me, is that a thing? Are you out there bar hopping on Thursday night before Thanksgiving? Anybody out in Buffalo, are you bar hopping Thanksgiving? Is that a thing that you're aware of? And
It's a big thing. And I don't think the snow's stopping anyone, Mike.
You set your calendars and you're like, yeah, looking forward to going out.
It's the biggest drinking night of the year. I'm telling you, it's wild.
How's the wife accept that? Does she get to go?
Well, that's the thing. So we went last year and we went to the brewery and we were out still pretty late, right? So we were out until, I think we were still out until about 11:30, and the baby fell asleep in our arms. And, we're those parents, right? So we're holding the baby, live bands playing, we're having a couple drinks, having a good time. So then I went and dropped my wife off at home. We put the baby to sleep. And then I said, do you mind if I go back out and meet some friends out? She said, no problem. She is like early bird, like midnight. I'm tapped out. That's it. So I am like, hey, I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I go, 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 go. Like I'm either 0 or 100. There's no in between. Like the second my head hits the pillow, I'm done. That's it. So we're like, this is my energy at all times. But then if I sit down and I'm not doing something, I'm dozing off, Mike. It's crazy. So yeah. Yeah. So she's
Tom's got your back. Tom's got your back.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Eve is a huge hopping night. Maybe in Buffalo. I don't know. Again, I'll let you know Tuesday. I'm gonna survey everybody I work with, everybody I know, and we're gonna talk about this.
We need to put a Discord poll in the Buffalo Bills group just to see.
Definitely. You know what? I'm gonna put that not only in the Discord. We can put polls on our
in the
YouTube
general
channel
and everything. Yeah, on the channel too.
YouTube channel. So I'm gonna put that out there because I gotta find out. I just gotta know. Never heard of this thing. So
I love it. Yes.
So good stuff. If you're new to the channel, I'll say it one more time. Most of the people here are not new to the channel, but like, comment, and drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. We greatly appreciate it. We really do. Having you guys out in the channel with us makes it so much more fun. I remember our early days, Jake, where, the early days when you first joined us, we had a lot of momentum. Like a lot of your fans, your friends, your family, they were joining in. And some of those stay with us from that day. But there's been some days, not many out there in the channel chatting with us. But when we have all of them out there, it's just so much more fun. So we appreciate you. Red, White, and Bills, Big L, Dutch Flats, Tom S., Jakud. What is that?
Jake. So his name is Jake Cudahy. So shout out to Jake if you're still watching. Appreciate you, man. But looks like he's got a little short name on there. I know Jake had a little Twitch channel going. He's doing like streaming with video games and whatnot. So I don't know if he's still got that going on. But yeah, Jake's a big Knicks fan too. I know that. I always used to talk to him about a little bit of NBA basketball. He's one of my brother-in-law's good friends growing up. So yes, good to see you out there, man.
Awesome stuff. All right, that kind of does it for us. We'll see you Tuesday night talking about that upcoming Detroit game. Remember, we're going live 9 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock Western time. And yeah, it's going to be 3 channels: Go Bills podcast, Red, White, and Bills, and Nickel City Mafia going live. And it's going to be fun. I mean, we're going to talk about what we're thankful for, have a little fun with it, talk about the game, of course. But I think it's going to be a great time. So join us there. Looking forward to that. Any closing thoughts for you, Mr. Podger?
Who's bringing the turkey leg to that one?
I mean,
one of us has to have one.
We got to talk. I was saying that ugly sweaters, I would probably do an ugly sweater show, but hey, ugly sweaters are welcome at any time during the holidays. So
for sure,
if you want to wear your best ugly sweater Tuesday night, bring it.
I love it. That's great. Yeah, no, closing thoughts. Hey, it's a big win for us. We got the monkey off our back. We snapped that losing streak. So listen, I think we're going to get right. And this is the turning point of the season, Mike. This is the turning point of the season. It's only going to go up from here.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right. Thanks, Jake. As always, great show. Thank you for, extending, going a little later than we had normally planned. Appreciate it.
It's fine. No worries.
Everybody else, take care. We'll see you soon. Go Bills.
All right. Go Bills.